One, an absolutely fascinating moment in American history when the world's richest man and the forefront innovator of humankind stood beside the leader of the free world and explained to me exactly how our money was being wasted, the insanity of when they at gunpoint confiscate our tax dollars and shuffle it off to any number of programs. And in response to that, members of Congress and the media go, authoritarian, protect my DEI play in Ireland. Two, a branding expert on how Elon, Donald Trump, or will Cain make it in modern American culture. Three, one of the OGs, Saturday Night Live, joins us today for the 50th anniversary of that institution, SNL. It is the Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel and the Fox News Facebook page. Terrestrial radio, market to market, coast to coast, and always available by subscribing at Spotify or on Apple. What's up, men? What's up, fellas?
What's up?
How are we doing today?
We got a new lighting scheme in here. It's a little more mood lighting.
A little less corporate.
Yeah. How do you like it?
How many layers of bureaucracy did you have to go through to change the light bulbs?
About 3 or 4.
0, because I just did it and didn't ask any questions. Ask for forgiveness later.
Really?
No, I went
Really?
through 3 or 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? We wouldn't say that because that wouldn't be nice.
Just kidding.
Bureaucracy.
In the government.
You know,
Talking about the government, right?
Yeah.
why are you trying to get me back on? Why are you trying to get me back on two-a-days? Why are you trying to get me back on the right track?
Because that's what a producer does.
You're the best, Will.
Why am I the best?
I love your spirit. I love your tenacity. I love what we built
What is
here.
going on? What are you doing? Why are you kissing my butt? What is going on?
You always think I have some sort of ulterior motive. It's so ridiculous. I just like how you and Patrick color coordinated today.
We did. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out how to get my vision forward. I don't know. What we have here is a failure to communicate, which is my job, so it's all on me. Communication. I'm
Wilnick.
I'm being facetious. Kinda. Not really. Maybe a little bit. But I'm not just doing it. I'm not just riffing. It's like, what is wrong with everyone in the world? That, like, literally, what is wrong with everyone? Is this job justification? Is it you're on the take? Is you getting kickbacks? Is it afraid of losing your job? I don't know what's going on. I watched yesterday Elon Musk in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. In my mind, very sincerely explaining exactly something that I thought would get a 95, hell with it, 100% approval rating, 100%, right? Hey, maybe we won't waste your money. And somehow that is being received with anger. I don't even know what the right word is. Like, whatever we look up and we see Jasmine Crockett doing right now as we speak on the Senate Oversight Committee sub-hearing on DOGE, whatever you want to call her performance, anger is what it looks like to me. Over someone telling us things like 2 days, this yesterday from Elon.
Which one are you looking for there, Will?
I was just going to let you pick.
Okay.
I was just going to let you pick, dude.
Yeah, at a high level, if you say what is the goal of DOGE and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, if there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy.
That is, first of all, the visuals yesterday. That happened live during the Will Cain Show on Fox News Channel. It is stunning. So you've got Elon Musk in all black, basically, looking very Johnny Cash. You've got Donald Trump sitting at the Resolute desk, and you got little X. What is he, 5, 6 years old? What is little X? Just running around.
He looks like a 3 or 4 year old to me.
4 years old.
4 years old. In an overcoat, by the way. Sharp looking
How do you feel
overcoat.
about it? What Elon was dressed in? I had a little bit of a problem with it.
Why?
In the Oval Office. He's wearing a T-shirt with a belt buckle and a hat. It just seemed a little casual for me for the Oval Office, but I could be a curmudgeon. I don't know.
Elvis wore those jumpsuits in the Oval Office.
What? Jumpsuit?
Elvis? Yeah.
Oh,
He was friends
Elvis.
with Nixon. Elvis Presley.
Yeah. I don't care even a little bit.
That's why
I
kind
only
of brought
care
that up.
less about whether or not you would break up with your date for a bad Valentine's gift, which is currently up on the Will Cain Show social media feed inexplicably. I don't care what he's wearing. I don't care. And I don't care about X running around. I actually found it endearing. It's so funny yesterday when that's happening, just the aesthetics of the situation. I've never seen Donald Trump turn over the stage to someone like that. I mean, he sat silently and listened to Elon Musk. I mean, I don't know what that says. Communicates respect, communicates whatever. I mean, I guess for the left, they're going to say it communicates that he's actually the shadow government and he's running things and whatever. But I found that endearing about Donald Trump, that he turned over so much of the stage to Elon Musk. I actually, that's one of those things, like, people don't know about Donald Trump, like, that he's a great listener. If you've ever been around him, like, he's a genuine listener. He listens to you. And he's interested in your point of view, your opinion. That doesn't mean he's going to follow it, but he's interested in it. I mean, that kind of, like, generosity right there of sharing the stage of the Oval Office, by the way. It's not necessarily like a rally stage either. It's
Resolute
the
desk.
Oval Office.
Yeah.
To share that stage, I don't know. I found that really endearing from Donald Trump. I also found X's presence endearing. He's running around behind the desk, kind of leaning all over the desk. He's knee-deep picking a booger, I'd say for a good 10 minutes of the 40 minutes. He was knuckle-deep, working on mining for gold. And then he's climbing around on his dad, and he's like on his shoulders at one point. And so people have opinions. I pointed out yesterday the kid picking boogers, and people were like, how dare you? This is what kids do sometimes. But yeah, you know what else, though? I have eyes, and I'm going to say what I see. I'm not making fun of the little man. Like, that's I know 4-year-olds do that. But I'm going to point it out. We're all not going to pretend like it didn't happen. Not here, not me. And then the other people, there was some people that were like, this is so wonderful with the kid. And there are other people that were like, be more professional. You know what I mean? And like, you shouldn't have your kid at such an important thing in the Oval Office. And I don't even think those were partisan talking points, everything going on there. The partisan one was people going, you're using your kid as a prop. I think, if you want to make a partisan joke, how about a man in charge of waste, fraud, and abuse that doesn't waste money on a babysitter?
Yeah.
Seems like a good fit to me.
Twitter liked that joke. They liked it a lot.
You know who liked that? May Musk liked it.
Nice.
Nice.
Mama liked it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't care how he's dressed, two-a-days. I don't care about the kid. I don't care about the boogers.
People are going after me in the
I
chat
can't-
about it. Real bad.
Going after who?
Me.
You?
For saying that, yeah. No one cares. I guess I was
good.
wrong.
Get him, chat. Get him.
Yeah.
What I care about is that Elon Musk highlighted, I don't know if you have this clip. The one on fraud. Like, literally blank checks going out. And checks, what do you say, without the commentary filled in. And even worse than that, checks going to people that are 150 years old, purportedly, meaning they're dead, okay, or they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Like, just money going out. Play it.
What we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans. So I think we can all agree that if there's going to be fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries. We should stop that. And this is big numbers. Talk about $100 to $200 billion a year. Serious money.
By the way, I don't know if this is the clip you have from Trump. Trump said we're talking about potentially $1 trillion a year, potentially in waste. Hundreds of billions. He said maybe $1 trillion. That's what Trump said. Let's listen to Donald Trump.
Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's very serious. I think it's a very serious violation.
So let me put some numbers out there so everybody fully understands. Our national debt is north right now of $36 trillion. Our annual deficit, and I don't want to be somebody who's pedantic or patronizing, but I think sometimes, again, back to the whole idea, we use these words. I'm not sure everybody fully understands the difference. That's how the debt is, our total that we've racked up over time. We owe that money. Annually, we spend more than we take in, right? Annually, that's your deficit. Our annual deficit is $2 trillion. So we're adding $2 trillion annually right now to that $36 trillion. So next year it's 38 and it's 40, but it'd probably go up. The deficit always seems to go up. So Musk says yesterday, we can cut that in half, the deficit. We could, with DOGE's efforts, we could get this down to a $1 trillion deficit, which that's sort of a big deal, okay? And in response to that, Elizabeth Warren, the new Democratic star Jasmine Crockett, Anderson Cooper at CNN, the outcry is that Elon Musk is a tech bro hacking. That's their term, by the way. Hacking into the government for his own personal benefit. There's a great clip out there of Joe Rogan going, he's worth $400 billion. Like, he and how many generations are set forever? Forever. Now, I've never been that kind of wealthy, so I don't know. Maybe there's something to, like, you never have enough. But my thought process would be, does he need to go, like, search for another $50 billion to add to his $400 billion by looking through the Social Security Administration? Like, what is this scam? What is the scam and how does it benefit him? I watched that entire thing because it aired during our show, and I found it very sincere. Like, just very sincere. Hey, and I just think it's probably good that we have the world's richest man on it. And that's what other people are saying. If you care about an audit, hire an auditor. like, I don't know. Like, who are we talking about? That I'm going to trust.
EY.
Yeah, I guess. Their outrage is absolutely astounding to me. It truly is. It's a moment of masks off reveal. Like, what are you protecting? Why are you so outraged about the opportunity here to do something that I thought every American, left, right, Democrat, Republican, would be in on? Hey, don't waste my money. We all do realize this, right? Like, we get removed from the process, but we do realize this. Your taxes are taken from you at gunpoint. We do understand that, correct? If you doubt that, don't pay your taxes and see what happens. If you doubt that characterization, don't pay your taxes and see what happens. They will come to get you. They will arrest you. They will inevitably have guns on their hips when they do so. And they will put you behind a set of bars for not paying the amount of money they tell you that you owe. And dare you mess up. Don't mess up. It's complicated as hell. It is complicated as hell. And the only way they get away with it is that, I don't know what, you could look this up. What percentage of us right now pay our taxes through W-2s? It's just taken out, so we don't think about it, right? But I don't know if any three of you guys, anybody watching, have ever had to write a check to the government. That's a whole different process. How big does the check have to be? I don't know. Let me go through. I hope taxpayer.com or whatever does a good job. I hope my accountant does a good job. Whoever, right? And then I hope they don't pay more than I have to as well, because I don't want to be a boob. I want to keep as much of my money as possible. So they make it as complicated as possible. They take your money, and you're not allowed, apparently, what we're learning right now, you're not allowed to ask for what? You're not allowed to say, hey, can we double check it's all going places we want it to go? This is the nature of the relationship right now that we're seeing a complete freak out about. First, young James.
I think on one hand, we could get mad that people are freaking out about it, but I think Trump and Elon have stumbled onto some political gold here by the fact that they're taking up an issue that, when you take the politics out of it, is so 95-5 that their opponents are just knee-jerk reaction opposing anything they do.
You would think, but Elon's approval rating, I saw this the other day, is pretty low. I mean, if I'm to trust whatever poll that was, I don't know what it was, but
what he's doing, right?
What's up, 2 days?
So I'm reading here from New York Times a couple years ago. They said 92% of tax filers continue to receive W-2 income.
92%.
92%.
That's possible. It's possible you have to pay above and beyond your W-2 if
Sure.
you have non-W-2 income. W-2 is employee, full-time employee-based taxation, but maybe you have some side gigs or whatever. But honestly, collecting from your employer is the biggest thing that keeps the American taxpayer from absolute riot in the streets. It is. Filling out and paying and writing a check and budgeting to have to write the check.
Oh, that's tough.
And by the way, and then not on top of that, you have to make estimated payments 4 times a year. You have to guess what you're going to know. How about this? If you're all W-2s. I don't know if you've ever not been a W-2, right? So if you're a 1099 guy or whatever, 1099 is a freelancer, whatever it may be. So they don't withhold on you. So you're going to owe taxes. You know that by the end of the year, right? But you don't wait till the end of the year to find out how much you made and pay your taxes. No, the government doesn't like that. They want their money up front. They want it as quickly as possible. So you have to make estimated payments quarterly. And again, you don't know what you're going to make for the year because 1099 work is often boom and bust, right? Goes up, comes down, whatever it may be. So, but you have to write a check 4 times a year with what they think you're going to end up owing at the end of the year. And if it so happens that by the end you've underpaid, not only will you be paying the extra, you'll be paying a penalty for underpaying earlier. You see what I'm saying? Try to deal with the IRS when it's not W-2 and it's not just taken out of your paycheck, and you're going to understand the nature of this gig. And what we're learning now is you don't get to ask any questions about how they spend your money after they take it from you. None. All right. There's a lot of emotions mixed up in all that today, but I think we got there across the finish line. Coming up, Elon Musk, talking about his approval rating, his brand is something else. Donald Trump's brand. But I think we're almost living in the age of, it's like brands have become personalized. And at the same time, I'm wondering if we're not beyond the age of even branding. Okay? I'll never forget this clip of Joe Rogan one time talking about branding, and he's like, ugh, that's gross, branding. So let's talk to an expert on branding next on The Will Cain Show. We had her on the show a few weeks ago talking about her book and how you can kind of stand out in a world that's completely and utterly crowded. 7 Rules for Self-Reliance, of Self-Reliance. And so we thought we'd get her back today to talk a little bit about the way so many big celebrities have broken through to the top. You know, not just celebrities, world leaders, and dominate our mind when it comes to branding. It's The Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel, on the Fox News Facebook page. Maha Abouelenein is the author of the 7 Rules for Self-Reliance, and she's back with us today here on The Will Cain Show. Hey, Maha.
Well, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you as well. I'm going to kind of start. I know that when the producers talked to you and we kind of thought about coming back and talking about everything going on in the world, one of the things we were going to talk about is like guys like Elon Musk, guys like Donald Trump, and the way that they have become just sort of ever present in everybody's mind. And I know that branding is something that you think about a lot. I want to kind of pick up where I started to think in the last segment. Like, I almost feel like we're in a world that's post-branding. Now, I want to see what you think about that. You do have to simplify things in people's mind because there's so much information. So you got to simplify. Who's Will Cain? Oh, yeah, he's X guy. What, meaning fill in the blank guy. So there is an element of that. But the sort of manufactured, thought out, calculated branding thing, I feel like we're post that.
Yeah. Logos are out. People are in. We got a great, front row seat to that during the elections, right? It's the rise of personal brands and the fall of institutions. So Donald Trump's brand is stronger than the Republican Party. Elon Musk's brand is stronger than X or Tesla or NASA or any of these things. And you think about the way that this shift has happened is because people have access to technology and to information where anyone can publish anything to the world instantly. And we want to talk to them directly. We want to hear from them directly. And the power has shifted from institutions to individuals through social media. And it's great because you get unfiltered access, you get authenticity, you get to trust them because you feel it's more credible because they're actually spending time talking to you. It's a change game.
Right. Yeah. That's why I was mad when a question went out today on the Will Cain Show feed. Would you break up with your partner over a bad Valentine's gift? I'm like, I would never have that conversation. That's not me. I'm like, let's be authentic to me. That's why I kind of get frustrated about the concept of bureaucracy. How do, though, things that aren't personal, meaning direct, like Donald Trump goes directly to the voter. Now, Elon Musk obviously goes directly to the people. How do things that aren't direct, and I'm going to ask this in 2 ways, like Coca-Cola, right? Talk about a brand and talk about a calculated brand. How does that type of thing find a level of authenticity? But here's the second part, Maha. When you have 100 people involved in deciding what the brand will be.
Yep. Think about this. I think CEOs really understand how important it is to build a personal brand. So if you're the CEO of Coca-Cola, for example, letting people go behind the curtain on how you make decisions, how you run the culture of the business, what are some of the things you're doing with your employees and teams, how you're scaling your business globally, how you're scaling your culture globally. I think, the reason why CEOs understand why this is so important is because if they invest in building their personal brands, it helps them retain employees, helps them hire the right talent. It gets them customers to be loyal to them because they feel more connected to their story. People are moved by stories. That's why some of the most powerful brands captivate us because we're moved by their stories and we feel like we can connect with them because they're sharing more. So I feel like if companies can break down those walls, let people in, let them understand how they're running the business, I feel like I will be more loyal to a brand where I understand their decision-making, how they handle consumers, how they handle the environment, how they handle their team members and their leadership. Like, we don't want corruption anymore. We want direct to consumer, unfiltered, authentic, real stuff, and we want it in a transparent way.
Do you think that's in the antithesis of perfection? So in other words, like, I think for most of American consumer and political history, I'm going to go back since we started the age of mass communication, like workshopping and perfecting it has been the goal. And so what you're talking about is breaking down the walls. And look, I know I'm like half telling this story today, but I'm a little frustrated about some things this morning. And part of that is because, I mean, part of why I'm even saying that is because I want to be authentic. Like, that's just who I am today. But the other part is I do think you tear down the walls is the point, because you have to treat the consumer authentically and let them in on the process. And it's like, you know, Two-A-Days is my producer. He just put up a live read where I read the instructions from the advertiser to start, you know, and you know, I guess in the past, like, I'm not mad at Two-A-Days for that. Like, that's a mistake. A mistake happens. But I'm also not going to pretend like it didn't happen. So I want to tear down the wall. I want everybody to see our mistakes and what's really happening.
Leaders have to be human and unscripted and learn how to brand themselves in the way that they authentically show up, because we get it. We see things in real time. We are understanding, and we get it when someone's trying to script us and deliver key messages to us, and it's not being their, you know, the real deal. And we know that. We can recognize it. And guess what? We have options. We can choose to put our dollars behind brands where we feel connected to them and that we feel like they're being unscripted and being more human, because we have access to do that.
Do you think, like, I know you don't get that political, like, it's almost how Donald Trump's running his presidency as well. Like, even the Gaza thing, Maha, like, whatever's going on with Gaza, no one knows, but it feels like he's workshopping it out loud to us. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, all of these ideas, he hasn't sat behind in a boardroom with 12 people going, now, how are we going to present this? He's presenting everything right there to us.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to that whole situation, to be honest with you, but I will tell you this. The most important thing that we can see from anyone using social media or talking direct to the consumers, if they can tell stories that connect with audiences directly, it allows us to see their thinking and how they're, you know, approaching problems or solutions that they're going after. And I feel like every company, every CEO, every brand needs to learn how to do that.
Yeah. I don't know that they all can. Who do you think's doing it the best?
I mean, there's a lot of people that are really good at, you know, Elon Musk is very, what you see is what you get. It's really authentic in how he communicates and what he does. Same for the president. I can't deny that. But I think also you should think of some of the most, you know, inspiring leaders that run some of the big tech companies and how they're approaching. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. We see how he's surfing. We see what he's doing with his families. Like, he's trying to take us behind the scenes on more than just what he does as a CEO, as a company. And that helps build a different, you know, opinion and side of him that we probably didn't see before.
Yeah, I might disagree with you a little bit on Mark Zuckerberg, because that feels like it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't.
Really?
It feels like it feels manufactured. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
I
know
think
for sure.
I think it's how, yeah, but it's a good example of how CEOs are not just out there on their channels talking about business, talking about the company. They're trying to do more.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with that or not, that's obviously up for discussion. But I think it's the method of trying to do storytelling as a CEO, trying to show a different side of you besides what you're showing on the business side.
Well, let me ask you the biggest PR issue going on right now then, okay?
Okay.
How about this? How would you handle this? This is what I'm genuinely interested. All right.
Uh-oh.
Are you a sports fan? Are you a
I'm
sports
a
fan?
huge sports fan. I just got back from the Super Bowl.
You are. All right, me too. Okay, the biggest story in sports, whether or not people acknowledge it or not, is the trade of Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. It is.
Yes.
Okay? It's gigantic.
Massive.
And granted, I live in Dallas, but it's spiraling. Now, what I mean by that is massive backlash in Dallas for this. Massive.
Yeah.
Protests, people are upset. And I have gone into it and why that is, and I think maybe ownership and management didn't understand a lot of these things that going into it. I don't know, but here's how they've responded since, Maha. They're kicking fans out of the stadium who say things like Nico Harrison is the general manager, so fire Nico, right? Anybody that's doing something in stadium like that is getting booted from the stadium. And I think it's a pretty fascinating PR thing. Like, what do you do in this situation? You've done something that has completely alienated your customers.
Completely.
So do you try to suppress it? Do you own it? Do you own your mistake? I mean, you can't, if they may genuinely not feel like it's a
made a
mistake.
mistake. They don't think they made a mistake.
Right.
I think it's a difficult one. Fandom is we become crazy around our sports teams, right? We become unrational about what we, want from our teams and our cities and our players. And I feel like, he made a decision that affected a lot of people, not just season ticket holders, but other people, sponsors, other people that were engaged in that, organization. And so, his teammates and everything. I mean, it's a huge trade. I mean, Anthony Edwards, I'm from Minnesota, so I'm a Timberwolves fan. I saw some comments about he was part of this potential trade and they were going to move Ant. I would have killed myself if that happened. Like, you can't give up your franchise players that easy. But I feel like they have some things that they need to do for their fans. They have some explaining to do, and they have to compensate them, and they have to make them whole. And they really do need to figure out a way to bring back that brand love, because they lost a lot of trust and credibility. And fans are the ones that, fill those stadiums and put people's jobs in line. I think
just for the record, you should have danced in the streets if they were able to trade Anthony Edwards for Luka Doncic. You should have thrown a party in Minnesota.
Really?
I mean,
I love Ant. I'm too loyal to Ant.
Well, Luka single-handedly destroyed your top-seeded Wolves team last year himself, took the Mavs to the finals. He's unequivocally a better player. And by the way, check out your X feed this morning. Anthony Edwards has his own little scandal going on, it looks like, this morning. So you might have gotten out of that just in time. Yeah, I don't know. We're not going to talk about it right now because I don't know that it's 100%. I don't know all the truth yet. So
the only thing I saw about Anthony Edwards, there's a documentary coming out about him. So I want to see what that's all about.
Okay, well, check X. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not.
I'll check it.
I don't know. But the backlash. Suppressing the backlash feels like, in this age, to tie this conversation full circle, suppressing it is not going to work. It's just sort of
that's
like,
not right.
I don't know the right analogy used, but that's going to pressure cook it and make it bigger. And somehow you've got to let it happen, let it air out, and hope that you win over the long run.
I agree with you. Yeah, you can't do that to your fans. You can't. You did a move that disappointed them. Let them air their frustration and their feelings, and you take the decision and take the feedback from the decision, and don't put it under the rug and ignore it. The fans are what makes the league.
Yeah. Fandom is a different kind of customer. It's a totally different.
Yeah.
There's habitual, right? There's habitual customers. There's passion customers, which are fans, and I don't know. And then there's just drive-by customers, casuals.
They're just customers. That old policy, the customer is always right. Like, these are paying customers. They are ticket holders. They're buying merch. They're eating food. They're contributing to the economy. These customers matter.
Right. All right. Maha Abouelenein. I think
Great to see you. You did such a good job on it. You've got this down now.
I'm pretty proud of myself. Maha Abouelenein, 7 Rules of Self-Reliance. Check her out. Appreciate you being here with us today on the Will.
Thank you, Will. Good to see you again.
You too. Okay, now listen. We've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. You know what, though? One doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin. So he says. So recently, Dr. Lake has focused on his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So he can pursue revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like Photoshop for your face. You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase wrinkles from view, Lakey told reporters. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the new age rewinder method because it takes years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use the simple solution from home. If this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, I'll be thrilled knowing I helped, Dr. Lakey commented. The video has gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One viewer even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out more about this yourself right now. Go to bhmd1.com/will. or click on the link in the description box below. That's bhmd1.com/will. Now, there's one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help so many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. Go watch the video at bhmd1.com/WILL right now, or just click on the link in the description box below. More Will Cain Show coming up. We're approaching the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. Why not talk to a legend? It's the Will Cain Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel and the Fox News Facebook page. Hit subscribe at Apple or on Spotify. Man, when I was a kid, I've told this guy this story several times. I had a couple of tapes, for real. My dad did. They may have been Betamax. See, we went Betamax before we went VHS in my house. And for you younger people, you don't even know what I'm talking about. You know, tapes that you'd put in. And we had the best of John Belushi, okay, from Saturday Night Live. And we had the best of Eddie Murphy. And I wore those tapes out, okay? And, of course, one of the guys you become a fan of, and one of the guys you know from any of these best of tapes is the legendary Joe Piscopo. Let's bring him in now. He's become one of my friends by appearing on Fox and Friends. And this is his first time, I think, on the Will Cain Show. It is Joe Piscopo. What's up, Joe?
Well, how hard can you work, man? The buzz at Fox and Friends with Rachel and the team this weekend was, do you see Will Cain's numbers, man, on Fox News? Do you see him? He's crushing it. And then they go, well, you do Will Cain Show. I'm thinking, oh, you mean the Fox News Network at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? No, his podcast. I say, he does a podcast too? You don't rest. I love you, my brother. Yeah. Look at you, man. Look at you.
Not just podcasts, man. You're Thank you, buddy. You're streaming on all types of YouTubes and Facebooks as we speak, and you're on radio stations across the country right now. This is, what do we like, Joe? We like, you are black and I am white.
You know
are
what
blind
you were
as a bat and I have sight.
Very good, Will. Very good. You know, could you get away with it today? I don't know. Maybe now in the new Trump era, but just a year or two ago, I don't know that you could. You know, by the way, this, watching it, it was the one and only time I really, because Eddie was so great to work with. Eddie Murphy was so great to work with. He's a comic genius, and he kind of gave back. And for me to say, you are blind as a bat and I have sight, it was right at his face, but I went for it on live TV, and thank goodness it got a laugh. And it just,
the next line, Joe, the next line is side by side by, what is it? Hold on.
By my amigo.
Blind as a bat and I have side by side. My amigo, negro. Yeah. Let's not fight.
That's it.
So my question is, even good. At the time, I loved how you drew out fight. It was awesome. Okay. You're playing Sinatra, he's playing Stevie Wonder. But I'm curious, even at the time with that line, my amigo,
that's right.
Was that controversial even then?
Not then, no, because they, with due respect, how how proud I am to be an Italian American, but even Frank Sinatra, his nickname from D. Martin was Dago. I mean, honestly, so back then you just did that stuff, you didn't even think about it. So it was not like
Right.
that, and and I needed to rhyme. I had needed to rhyme it with amigo, So I mean, we were like searching, but you didn't think about it back then, man. And then even during dress
Right.
rehearsals back then, we would get even more raw. But to your point on that sketch, I cleaned it up a little bit because I always wanted to protect Frank Sinatra. He's my hero, my father's hero. So
Right.
it was harsher than that. We actually softened it, if you could believe it. But you know what? We did. I working with Eddie made everything easy. I think with a shout out to Barry Blaustein, David Sheffield, the writers. Well, I love that you're doing every day, and we're in the. I'm on the radio and it's live. But when you got to come up with comedy material, with sketches, with props, with other
Yeah.
actors, with scenery and makeup, it's a daunting task. I don't know how I did it for over 4 years, my brother.
Well, it's a little bit like the conversation I was just having, Joe, and it's sort of my approach to doing TV and everything is like, I don't strive for perfection, and I hate being scripted. So I like to be out loud and own our mistakes. How about this? Acknowledge our mistakes, acknowledge our imperfections. I think that's one of the charms of Saturday Night Live. The fact that it was live introduced a tension in it that, hey, it could go wrong. And Jimmy Fallon or whoever laughs or cracks up during a sketch.
Yeah.
You don't want it to happen every time, but when it does, it adds to it. Do you know what I mean?
I do, exactly right. Yeah, you like you doing your show today. I'm like a geek. I love media. I just love it, and I'm like a fan. So you're doing your show. Yeah, you're doing your show in a couple hours, right? You'll just do your show. You do this.
Yeah.
Do you do this? Do you do the podcast
Yep.
every day? God bless you. Almost
Yep.
every day.
Yep.
God, I'd love,
Yep. Every day.
sometimes I'll get back to this now, but let me geek out for a second. Will, can I do that? Can I do that? Because it's like,
Yeah.
when I watch Kill Meat or watch yourself or watch everybody getting up like 1 o'clock in the morning on the weekends, and it's like nuts. And then you go, and then sometimes you'll see Brian on late at night, or like we had Dan Hoffman from the CIA, our mutual friend, who's great. And he's on Sean, and he gets on my show in the morning. I tell you what, it's
Right.
Saturday Night Live. The schedule was tough, but we didn't work like that, man. We slept a little late. We slept a little late, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't want to be compared to Kill Me. That man's never off television, Hey, by the way, back to that skit real quick. It's not the most controversial Saturday Night Live skit. I think back to Richard Pryor and was it Dan Aykroyd? Remember that
it was
skit?
Chevy Chase, yeah.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about pushing the envelope.
That's a great observation. It was the word association sketch, and it was with
That's what it
Chevy
was.
and with Richard Pryor. And if you watch it now, if you play it now, I'm telling you, the Gen Zers will be shocked. But I got to tell you, that's the audition tape Eddie Murphy did when I was hired already, and then they brought this young kid from Long Island up in Eddie Murphy, and I met him and we hit it off and it was great. And then the producers and the writers said, "Hey Joe, would you read a sketch with this young kid?" And I go, "Sure, let's do it. What sketch you want to do?" And it was that sketch, Will. It was that sketch. So now I got Eddie doing Pryor. I had to do Chevy. And as Eddie, and I know everybody knows the sketch. It was like world famous, especially for my generation, So now Eddie's doing Pryor, and I'm reading, and all the suits are there, man, on the 17th floor at NBC. And Eddie just nailed it, like just got with it. And I knew right there. I said, this is the kid's a comic genius. And then we kind of, and everybody loved it, but they were afraid. NBC was afraid to hire Eddie because he was quote unquote too edgy. Check that out. So we all campaigned. I remember going to Gene Domanian at the time, who hired Eddie and I. You got to put him on. They made him a featured player at first. They wouldn't even put him on at first, because he was too edgy. But then we did a sports guy. Sports, man. I did the sports guy. He played the basketball player. No white people in the NBA, baby. I said, let's do it, man. And we had a blast.
Who's your favorite? It's this doesn't. Are you part of the 50th anniversary this weekend, Joe? You're going to be there?
I'm glad you asked. Yes, we have a big concert on Friday at Radio City. I tell you, they've been so gracious to me, and I feel like I know you because we've seen each other so much backstage. So if I could just pull the curtain back a little bit, and hopefully I don't get myself in trouble. But, it's like 10 years ago, they put me on, they had me do a Frank Sinatra thing, right? Which was great. And I was always honored to be there. And then they
Right.
treated me with such respect this time. They went back and forth. We emailed back and forth. They put me in all of the vital documentaries that they did. They said, Joe, we'd like a part of it. Because I always felt like out of the loop in all of entertainment. I was just always on the outside. I don't know. I just didn't get into the whole show business thing. And in SNL, we weren't hired by Lorne. Eddie and I were not hired by Lorne. We were hired by Gene Domanian. And then Dick Ebersol, as you know all too well, the great Ebersol was the guy that produced the show. But and again, Lorne, I know Lorne. He's helped me out. He's a great, great guy. But I always felt on the outskirts. So this time, I'm going to the concert. I'm taking my daughters. We're going to be at the 3-hour broadcast. That's on Saturday. That's on Sunday on the 16th. And I'm just an observer. And you know what? Proud to be there. Happy to be there, man. You know.
Well, Joe, why have you felt on the outside? Now, I'm curious. There's an article up right now at foxnews.com about you.
Yeah.
And it says, you said, I used to be a blue dog. I think you said blue dog Democrat.
Yep.
Until Trump called you in like 16 or 17. And you've known Trump for a long time and liked him personally.
Yep.
And then you've been pretty open. You appear on places like Fox. I'm curious if that at all played a role in you feeling like an outsider. Like, when I asked you going to be there this weekend, if you had told me no, my next question would be, is it because you've been so open about your support for Donald Trump? Like, how is that playing inside the world of SNL?
Yeah, I think you just answered it. I think, but you know what? Again, it is what it is. But I have a feeling that they might have some, maybe, I don't know. It's like I just felt on the outside. Maybe because I wasn't hired by Lorne, number one. I never got into the Hollywood. I'm not on the A list, B list. I'm not even on the wait list in Hollywood, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like, I just never got into the groove. I'm a Jersey guy. I'm in my house now, man. I got kids, I got a child at every exit in New Jersey. Well, I mean, I just love what I do here. So I'm out of the loop. But yeah, there are people, despite us really being in the golden age of America and watching one of the greatest administrations at this point, 3 weeks in, I wish people would just stop and go, you know what? We were wrong. This is good. These guys knew what they were doing. But I think some people really have some animus. But you know what? It is what it is. I love them anyway. I'm not going to hate. They want you to hate. I'm not going to hate like them. You know what I'm saying?
Who's your favorite guy, to the extent that you're willing to answer this, Joe? Because the reason I say that is, even if somebody asks me this, you're sitting there and you're going, well, I don't want to leave somebody out and hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to ask you and see what you do. Like, who's your favorite to work with? Like, every time you and I have been together and you offset, and it may be because I always bring up that one sketch that I loved when I was a kid, but we talk about Eddie. I mean, who was your favorite guy to work with?
Well, I'll tell you, my favorite guy and the guy I admire and is a kind of a mentor and I think embodies everything about Saturday Night Live that is great is Dan Aykroyd. Aykroyd's my guy. Danny was just like the way he just portrayed his characters from within, not makeup. I was using prosthetics. Danny never used prosthetics, as far as I know. And just a great guy. But to work with, and I've worked with everybody. I've been on stage with Mr. Sinatra. That was a thrill of my life, of course. But I'll tell you, nobody better than Eddie Murphy, man. I got to tell you something. And maybe I'm older. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm not. I can't be objective. But when you get somebody the talent of Eddie, like Robin Williams, like Pryor, the good ones, the really good superstars, they'll let you jump in. They'll let you jump in. Robin Williams was great at that. Robin was like, he would go crazy. He would get scream laughs and he'd step back, let you do your thing, man. And then he would go back and it was like a beautiful ballet of comedy. Well, Eddie was the same way. As brilliant as Eddie was, he would let you go for a second, come back. It was, I tell you, not since have I worked with anybody like that. Really, it's an instinct also that Eddie's a great guy, but to work with, you can't match Murphy. Nobody better.
That's a really interesting thing you just said, and that's honestly how I felt on Fox and Friends. Not to compare what we were doing to what you guys are doing, but the generosity you just described.
Yes.
It only comes from a place of real confidence. I know how good I am. I know how good you are. and I know how good we are together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you often find other people that will box others out aren't
That's
quite
right.
as confident, and so they're trying to meet something inside of them. They have to feel like they have to a bar they have to hit.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I don't know. I can imagine what you're talking about, where Eddie knows we're going to be better together if
Yeah.
I release it for a little bit and then
Yeah.
I come
Yeah.
back.
He was it was impeccable. Whether we did in all those tapes you watched as a kid, the best of Eddie Murphy, whether we did Solomon and Pudge, which was my favorite characters, and Michael Che loved the characters that we did on that sketch where we played the two old guys in the bar, and Dion, which maybe you couldn't do today, the two hairdressers. That was Eddie's bit, man. He said, Dion, he goes, no, you got to come on, you got to play Blair, I think my name was, and we played back and forth on it like that. And I got to compliment you to your point. You can make the analogy because you going out on the limb for Pete Hegseth was awesome. I mean, God bless you for that. You didn't let up. You did, because now when they ask me, no, that's true though, Will. When they ask me about Donald Trump, I know Trump 100 years. I know President Trump, excuse me, 100 years. I'm not on the inside. I don't go to dinner. I don't hang with him. And plus, you and I, I don't idolize anybody. Since Frank Sinatra passed away, my father, DiMaggio, those are my heroes. Now I'm not Gaga, but I know who to respect, and I know about loyalty and friendship. And with the way they asked me about Donald Trump, you can't marginalize now. Not now. The country is teetering too much. You can't marginalize. You went headstrong, straight ahead, as my father, the military guy, would say, onward and forward for Pete Hegseth, and watching Pete work out in Germany with the troops as Secretary of Defense was freaking awesome, man. Was it? So God bless you for that, my brother.
Joe, I had to text him. Because do you know how many notes I got from, like, I'm talking about special forces types guys, but not just that, just like, you know, just dudes out there who are like, that was awesome, him working out. And I was like, this really resonated with everybody. Him getting up and working out with the troops, it did. For whatever reason, that resonated.
It really did, man. I feel, you know what? I was just saying that too. I got to do a bit. I got to do a bit. I did it. I think I mentioned it on the radio. The best looking administration we've ever seen ever. I mean, they could do. You got Donald and Melania. You Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth looks like John freaking Wayne. I mean, it's like you got to. Isn't that great though? They should do a model show, a runway show. I think for charity. No,
I mean, we can keep going. RFK, Tulsi, you can keep going. You're right. It's a great looking, obviously Caroline Leavitt. It's a great looking administration.
But we digress.
You said it there. You said it there a minute ago. Your favorite skit, your favorite sketch. What would it be?
Yeah. It was Solomon and Pudge. So we needed some material toward the end of the show. Like we don't forget 90-minute show. So around 10 of 1 a.m. They needed some fill time. They said, Joe and Eddie, would you come up with some material? And so Eddie and I sat down at the piano, 17th floor in the writer's wing. And I was at the piano, just tinkering at the piano. And Eddie was to my right. And he started saying, look, let me just do some old guys in the bar that I knew as a kid. And, you be Pudge, I'll be Solomon, and I'll just pontificate. You go back and forth. We riffed it. Now, when we went to do it, John Madden was hosting this show, rest his soul. And Madden was great. And then they said, we had to put you back into what we call Toscanini Corner, which was the back end where the elevator for the great Arturo Toscanini used to come up when he would conduct the NBC Symphony Orchestra at NBC back in the day when it was a radio studio. Not one sketch ever worked back in Toscanini Corner. They said, oh, Toscanini's ghost is going to kill the sketch, man. So now Madden does it. And I remember him walking off saying, good luck, or break a leg or something like that. He was leaving his sketch. Me and Eddie went back to the corner. We played these two down and out guys in the bar. We virtually improvised the whole sketch for about 7 minutes, man. On live television, we had 8, 20, whatever million we had. And we went in and the punchline for Eddie and I was, yeah, that's crazy, man. And Eddie would say, yeah, that's crazy. Everybody crazy. Like that. Took a beat. They went to black. They went to commercial. And I got filled with emotion. And Eddie and I walked back, buddy, back to the good nights, onto the home base there. And that. And every time we did those sketches, if we did a half a dozen, maybe more of those Solomon and Pudge sketches, were really from the heart, virtually improvised. That was my all-time favorite.
Right. What year did you join? Saturday Night
80,
Live?
man. 1980.
80.
You weren't
So we're
born
5
yet.
years in.
Yeah.
I was, Joe. You're 5 years into Saturday Night Live. It started in 75.
Mm.
The beginning of it, the partying is notorious, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of the 90s too, because you hear about it again with Chris Farley. Was
Yeah.
it like that when you were there? Was it
You know what?
was it crazy partying?
We write in the book. Can I hold my book up for a second? The publishers have been so great.
I want you
Will
to.
Kane,
I want you
they'd be
to.
honored if I did this on the Will Kane podcast. But this is
course.
Average Joe, and I write about it. It came out just yesterday, and I write about it in the book. I never tried cocaine, man, and I'm a guy of the '80s, and I never tried it because I'm obsessive compulsive, and if I tried it, I knew I wouldn't stop. And nor did Eddie, and maybe there were like a number of other people that didn't. But was it around? I would suggest you read the book, but they would sometimes, I mean, the hierarchy, and not Ebersol. Ebersol, as you know, is straight. Ebersol was like real clean cut, and he ran it like a military operation. But there were a couple of guys there, you'd be picturing their sketches, and they'd be laying lines out on the desk, man. Then they take the big pen out, while you're doing you're pitching the sketch and you're I'm a kid, man. I'm like, whoa, man. And then the punchline is, and this really happened, that this guy, God bless him, he did so many drugs, and I respected him because he was still alive. I said, wow, he had my respect because how could he still function? And after you pitch everything and he snorted, he would take a joint out of his pocket, fire it up, and go, that's not funny. Every single week. Every week. I go, oh. Then finally, on a much more serious note, John Belushi died. And that came down, and it was pretty much around there. Everybody stopped because of it. If drugs could stop the great Belushi, this guy cleaned himself up and became almost like a pro athlete in shape. But yeah, you would see it all over. I hated that. I hated if you didn't do the drugs, you weren't on the inside. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and even at the comedy clubs, people, no names mentioned, big stars would come in, they'd go in the back of the bar, and they would all get coked up. And I never liked that premise of friendship. Like, we'll do drugs. That'll be the conduit between you and I. Forget about it. I never did it.
Really quick. So, Average Joe, you tell these stories, the story of your life. You see the book jacket cover says a blue collar guy, in this world. That's what do we learn with Average Joe?
Survival, man. Survival. I had cancer in '81 during Saturday Night Live. I thought I was going to die by 35. And then they told me, no, you beat it, Joe. And I'm going like, wow, man. So I had to do catch up, I had to make up for a lot of stuff. It's survival and reinvention is what it is. Because I'm just a blue collar guy. I go on stage, and I entertain and do the best I can. Then I got to do it all over again. The radio thing is an anomaly, which I love. Doing this, being on Fox. Everybody's so great at Fox. I can't tell you how much fun I have at Fox. But it's about survival and reinvention, and hang in there, and don't let that negativity or those naysayers get you down. It's a very positive attitude book. Now, I didn't throw anybody under the bus either, Will, my friend.
Go check it out, Average Joe. I'm a big fan of Joe Piscopo. Was before I met him, even more so after getting to know him. So go check out Average Joe, and we'll get you on the record-setting ratings program too, Joe. Okay, we'll get you on both programs. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, we love you, Will. Keep up the great work. Congratulations.
Thanks. All right, thank you, Joe Piscopo. My dad would lose his mind if he realized I just said goodbye or hello to Joe Piscopo. My dad would lose his mind if he were still with us today. All right, that's going to do it for us today here on The Will Kane Show. I'll see you again, 4 o'clock this afternoon, and same time, same place, right here at Fox News YouTube, Fox News Facebook.